Residential Report Writing and Case Studies, Chapter 1, Page 1. Course Overview. We encourage our customers to visit the FAQs section for further information regarding your educational experience. We support your study progress. Click here for 7-day and 5-day-a-week student study calendars to help you stay on track. Course description. An appraisal report is both the final step and a critical element in the appraisal process, one that can successfully or unsuccessfully communicate your findings to a client. In this course, your instructor will introduce some of the techniques and procedures associated with writing a proper appraisal report, as well as guide you through the various reporting options available, including narrative type reports. Foundational requirements for these reports are taken from USPAP and intended users such as Fannie Mae and HUD. This course also features interactive case studies which require you to write parts of 2 appraisal reports, one on a single-family dwelling and the other on a 3-unit residential income property. There is a mandatory 1-hour proctored exam at the end that must be taken in a monitored setting. A calculator is recommended for this course. Course learning objectives. Upon completion of this course, participants will be able to differentiate between an appraisal and an appraisal report. Compare and contrast standards 1 and 2. Recognize the steps in the appraisal process. Prepare an overview of the approaches to value. Identify basic appraisal reporting requirements. Identify the basic requirements for an appraisal report and a restricted appraisal report. Define assumptions, extraordinary assumptions, hypothetical conditions, and their corresponding reporting requirements. Identify the 2 reporting options from Standards Rule 2-2 and the uses and applicability of each. Explain the differences between the 2 reporting options. Identify and articulate some pitfalls of using forms to report appraisals. Identify the minimum content requirements for an appraisal report. Identify areas where commonly used form reports may not provide sufficient information to comply with USPAP requirements. Outline USPAP requirements for disclosure of prior services provided regarding the subject property. Identify the difference between a form and a report. Explain why correctly filled out appraisal forms do not equate to USPAP compliance. Summarize how USPAP compliance for appraisal reports is determined. Outline the uses and limitations of the URAR form. Explain the purpose of the UAD and who is responsible for compliance. Identify report forms that are required to be UAD compliant. Describe how UAD requirements are viewed under USPAP. Summarize the difference between requirements and instructions. Identify specific UAD data entry requirements. Identify various Fannie Mae / Freddie Mac appraisal reporting forms and their applications. Describe differences between the URAR form and other commonly used reporting forms. Discuss the use of addendum and re-inspection forms that are not appraisal report forms. Summarize the use of narrative type reports. Identify tips and best practices for formatting and writing narrative reports. Recognize disclosure requirements for scope of work. Give examples of disclosures related to property inspection. Identify assignment conditions and how they affect scope of work and disclosure. Recognize disclosure requirements for jurisdictional exemption. Apply sales comparison, cost approach, and reconciliation techniques. End of page. Page 2, Course Welcome. Welcome to Residential Report Writing and Case Studies, presented by McKissock Learning. This 15-hour introductory course is part of the required curriculum to receive a licensed residential appraiser or a certified residential appraiser credential in most states. Click here to view the number of hours / courses required by state for each license level. The AQB recommended order to take your courses. To view full requirements on the site, from the menu bar, choose Appraisal, get your license, select your state, and in the anchor bar, choose License Requirements. Before we begin, let's cover a few necessary points about how this course functions. You are taking a 15-hour course. For reporting purposes, the system will track the time you spend online. Your time spent in the course should be equivalent of the required course hours and fulfill your state's requirements. The time to complete this course will depend on the speed of your internet connection, how fast you are able to read and comprehend the material, and your study habits. This is a self-paced course, which means You determine how often you study and how long you study each time you log in. You have 6 months to complete your course, which includes taking and passing the course final proctored examination at the end of the course. If you are unable to complete the course in 6 months, you may purchase an extension by contacting customer service. You will have a quiz at the end of each chapter in your course that you must pass to advance in the course. If you fail a quiz, you may reread the section again to gain further understanding, or just take the quiz again until you pass. End of page. Page 3, navigation. To navigate through the course pages, you click on the arrow buttons on the lower right part of your screen, or you may use the space bar to advance. You may also navigate backward to previous completed sections of the course by using the links in the course outline to the left of your screen. You may go anywhere that has already been completed. At the top right of the screen are several important links. It's pointing to, I think, the little green sidebar thing. Email instructor. Use this link if you have any questions on the course material that you would like to ask the instructor. Documents. Use this link to download any necessary course materials or course handouts. Help. Use this link if you are experiencing technical issues. For instance, your computer is not working, the pages are not advancing properly, or you're having trouble viewing videos, etc. Back to my courses. Use this link to save your progress and go back to your student dashboard to log out. Notes. Use this link to take notes as you work your way through the course material. At the lower right of the screen, above the navigation buttons, is a leave a comment icon. This feature's intended use is to allow students to communicate with other students in the course. You can post comments for others to read, and you may read the comments that others have left before you. Please do not use the leave a comment section for questions for the instructor, as the instructor does not monitor the comments. If you choose to leave comments, please keep them professional. We do have people who monitor the comments, and any offensive or inappropriate comments will be removed. McKissock reserves the right to expel students without credit or refund for leaving offensive or inappropriate comments. If you find inoperable hyperlinks in the course materials, please inform McKissock's technical support staff by emailing customer support at vchelp@mckissock.com. Inoperable links are most likely the result modifications made by the owner/developer of the linked website after the development of this seminar. Please do not use the leave a comment link at the bottom of the page to report broken or inoperable links or to communicate with the instructor. The course instructor does not monitor these comments. Reporting inoperable links in this section will not get them fixed. End of page. Course completion, page 4. To complete this course and receive completion certificate and course credit, you must successfully complete the following. Read all course chapters and pass all end of chapter quizzes. Take and pass the course proctored final examination. The Appraisal Qualifications Board, AQB, of the Appraisal Foundation requires that you complete a proctored final examination for any distance learning qualifying education. For instance, pre-licensing or upgrade course. You may choose a live in-person proctor or a virtual online proctor, depending on your state requirements. Exemptions are Arkansas, Kentucky, and New York. The following states require the following. Kentucky requires online exam be taken with an in-person proctor. Virtual proctor exam monitoring, which means monitor edu, is not accepted by the state of Kentucky, and exam results will be denied. Find a qualified online proctor using the guidelines here. Some proctor locations charge a proctoring fee. Arkansas requires online exams be taken with an in-person proctor that is pre-approved by the state of Arkansas. Virtual proctor exam monitoring, which means monitor edu, is not accepted by the state of Arkansas, and exam results will be denied. Find a pre-approved qualified proctor here. Some proper proctor locations charge a proctoring fee. New York requires online exams be taken with an in-person proctor that is pre-approved by the state of New York. Virtual proctor exam monitoring, which means monitor edu, is not accepted by the state of New York, and exam results will be denied. Find the New York proctor policy and instructions here. Students in all other states have two options, including Kentucky, Arkansas, or excluding Kentucky, Arkansas, and New York. Use the virtual online proctoring with monitor edu option and pay the $15 proctoring fee. The fee is per exam attempt. Use the online in-person proctoring and find your own qualified online proctor using the guidelines found here. We recommend you confirm with your state's regulatory agency which form of proctor is required. Proctor qualifications. A proctor is an approved person who administers an exam and upholds the integrity and the exam taking process. It is the student's responsibility to find their own proctor. Short of providing suggestions of types of people who could be asked, McKissack cannot provide any further assistance in finding a proctor. For guidelines on who is an eligible proctor, see below. Examples of people who could serve as a proctor would be librarians, teachers, police officers, community volunteers, religious leaders, or someone who works in the public service industry. Ineligible proctors would be family members, your supervisor, a coworker, or someone with whom you intend to be employed. The important thing to remember about a proctor is to choose someone who does not have a vested interest in whether you pass the exam. If audited, you would not want your proctor choice to stand between you and your career. There will be additional details at the end of this course for scheduling your in-person online proctored or virtual online proctored exam and additional proctor responsibilities. You may view the full proctor policy document here. Chapter Overview, page 5. As you undoubtedly know, this 15-hour course is part of the required core curriculum to become a licensed residential appraiser or a certified residential appraiser. In Chapter 1, we will distinguish between the appraisal development and appraisal reporting processes. Although development and reporting are both part of the overall appraisal process, they are separate functions which are covered by different standards in USPAP. Chapter 1, Learning Objectives. Upon completion of this chapter, participants will be able to differentiate between an appraisal and an appraisal report. Compare and contrast standards 1 and 2. Recognize the steps in the appraisal process. Prepare an overview of the approaches to value. Identify basic appraisal reporting requirements. End of page.